Hello. I wish so much that I could be with you in person today, but since I'm in Texas right now, this video will have to do. I didn't want you to think that since I was gone, you would stop hearing from me about the National Day of Prayer. So that's what this video is about, to get you excited about the National Day of Prayer. So I want to actually read a little passage for you from Fresh Wind, Fresh Fire. This is one of my favorite books ever, and I just happened to grab it right before I was going to make this video and flipped to this page, and I knew that I had to share it with you. So um, this is How Revival Starts. For those of you who don't know, Fresh Wind, Fresh Fire is written by Jim Cymbala, and he is the pastor of the Brooklyn Tabernacle Church in Brooklyn. So, makes sense. Anyway, let me just read this to you. How Revival Starts. The history of past revivals portray this truth in full color. Whether you study the Great Awakening, the Second Great Awakening, the Welsh Revival, the 1906 outpouring on Azusa Street in Los Angeles, or any other period of revival, you always find men and women who first inwardly groan, longing to see the status quo changed, in themselves and in their churches. They begin to call on God with insistence. Prayer begets revival, which begets more prayer. It's like Psalm 80, where Asaph bemoans the sad state of his time, the broken walls, the rampaging animals, the burnt vineyards. Then in verse 18 he pleads, "Revive us, and we will call on your name." The Holy Spirit is the spirit of prayer. Only when we are full of the Spirit do we feel the need for God everywhere we turn. We can be driving a car and spontaneously our spirit starts going up to God with needs and petitions and intercessions right there in the middle of traffic. If our churches don't pray and if people don't have an appetite for God, what does it matter how many are attending the services? How would that impress God? Can you imagine the angels saying, "Oh, your pews! We can't believe how beautiful they are. Up here in heaven, we've been talking about them for years. Your sanctuary lighting? It's so clever! That way, the way you have the steps coming up to the pulpit, oh, it's wonderful." I don't think so. If we don't want to experience God's closeness here on earth, why would we want to go to heaven anyway? He is the center of everything there. If we don't enjoy being in his presence here and now, then heaven would not be heaven for us. Why would he send anyone there who doesn't long for him passionately here on earth? I'm not suggesting that we are justified by works of prayer or any other acts of devotion. I'm not a legalist, but let us not dodge the issue of what heaven will be like, enjoying the presence of God, taking time to love him, listening to him, and giving him praise. I have talked with pastor after pastor, some of them prominent and successful, who have told me privately, "Jim, the truth is, I couldn't have a real prayer meeting in my church. I'd be embarrassed at the smallness of the crowd. Unless somebody's teaching or singing or doing some kind of presentation, people just won't come. I can only get them for a 1 hour service, and that only once a week." Is that the kind of religion that's found anywhere in the Bible? Jesus himself can't draw a crowd, even among his own people. What a tragedy that the quality of ministry is too often measured by numbers and building size rather than by true spiritual results. As a preacher myself, let me be blunt here. Preaching itself can easily become a subtle form of entertainment. When I stand at the judgment seat of Christ, he is not going to ask me if I was a clever orator. He is not going to ask me how many books I wrote. He is only going to ask whether I continued in the line of men and women starting way back at the time of Adam's grandchildren who led others to call upon God. Friends, that's what this National Day of Prayer is about. That's what this prayer room is about. It's not about us saying that we did a great thing. It's not just to outdo what we did last year, because none of this is us. None of this is us. We cannot, as a church, we cannot make this prayer room happen. We cannot make God do anything in our valley. And I'm sure you agree with me. Nothing that we do is what is making God move among us. The only thing that we can do is humble ourselves and get out of the way for him to work. The only thing that we can do is admit our need for him and admit that we don't spend enough time with him. I encourage you, as National Day of Prayer is quickly approaching, please don't neglect this. Don't think that it's just something that's going to pass. This is us getting serious and saying, you know what, I can spend an hour I can spend 2 hours. I can spend a whole night in a prayer room with the King of Kings, because in reality, he's the only thing that I need. And not only can I spend time in that room, I need to spend time in his presence. Let this week of prayer, let this week of spending time in God's presence be something that teaches us how to spend time in his presence all the time, that teaches us that without his presence we are hopeless. Without his Holy Spirit, we are unable to do anything. Oh, please, please, don't neglect this. Don't. I am so excited to see what God is going to do, and he's already been moving. I hope that you realize how desperately we do need him. As I've been working with the youth group and just getting to know the kids that God is just bringing to us, the kids from the heart of our valley who have so many struggles and are just dealing with so much stuff, I'm realizing that we need him more and more and more than we will ever understand. And so it's so crucial that we get serious and that we lay our lives down, lay our time down, lay our wills down, and let him come and do what he's longing to do with us and for us and in us. I believe a revival will come to this valley, and not only that, but I believe it's already started, and you have the opportunity to be a part of it, and to just invite God's presence to shake you up and then send you out to just love on those around you. So sign up if you haven't signed up yet, and just start praying now, start asking God to just blow us away before this prayer room even starts. And maybe this prayer room will turn into a permanent part of our church where people will just be drawn when they're discouraged, when they're hurting. They'll know where to go. They'll know where God is. Thank you so much. I am so excited, and I love you all. I can't wait to be home and to see all of this come together and how God is going to move in us. Thank you so much.